Hi viewers, welcome to Akshya Vlogs and Crafts. Today let's read chapter 4. Sri Sai Satcharitra, Sai Baba's first advent in Shirdi. Mission of the Saints. In the last chapter, I described the circumstances which led me to write Sai Satcharitra. Let me now describe the first advent of Sai Baba in Shirdi. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, 7 to 8, that whenever there is a decay of dharma, rightness, and an ascendancy of unrightness, I manifest myself for the protection of the vicious and the destruction of the vicious, and for the establishment of the rightness, I manifest myself age after age. This is the mission of the Lord and the sages and saints who are his representatives and who appear at appropriate times and work in their own way to fulfill that mission. For instance, when the twice born, example the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas neglect their duties, and when the Shudras try to usurp the duties of other classes, when spiritual preceptors are not respected but humiliated, when nobody cares for religious instructions, when everybody thinks himself very learned, when people begin to partake of forbidden foods and intoxicating drinks, when under the cloak of the religion people indulge in malpractices, when people belonging to a different sect fight amongst themselves, when Brahmins fail to do Sandhya adoration and the Orthodox leave their religious practices, when yogis neglect their meditation, when people begin to think that wealth, progeny, wife are their sole concern and thus turn away from the true path of salvation, then saints appear and try to set matters right by their words and action. They serve us as a beacon lights and show us the path and the right way for us to follow. In this way, many saints, viz. Nivrutti, Dhyanand, Jnanadev, Muktabai, Namdev, Gora, Gonai, Eknath, Tukaram, Narahari, Narsibai, Sajan Kasi, Sawata, Ramdas and various others did appear at various times to show the right path to the people, and so the present advent came as Sri Sai Baba of Shirdi. Shirdi, a holy tirth. The banks of the Godavari river in the Ahmednagar district are very fortunate, for they gave birth and refuge to many a saint, prominent amongst them being Jnaneshwar. Shirdi also falls in the Kopargan Taluka or the Ahmednagar district. After crossing the Godavari river at Kopargon, one gets on way to Shirdi. When you go 3 miles, you come to Nibagon, from where Shirdi is visible. Shirdi is as famous and well known as other holy places like Gangapur, Rishinhavadi, Odumbar on the banks of Krishna river, as the devotee Damoji flourished and blessed Mangal Veda near Pandarpur, as Samarth Ramadas at Sach Jangan, and Sri Nirshma Saraswati and Saraswati Wadi, so Sainath flourished at Shirdi and blessed it. Personality of Sai Baba. It is on account of Sri Sai Baba that Shirdi grew into importance. Let us see what sort of personage Sai Baba was. He conquered this sansar, worldly existence, which is very difficult and hard to cross. Peace or mental calm was his ornament, and he was the repository of wisdom. He was home to Vaishnav devotees, most generous like Karna, almost amongst all, the quintessence of all essences. He had no love for perishable things, and was always engrossed in self-realization, which was his sole concern. He felt no pleasure in the things of his world or of the world beyond. His antarang heart was as clear as a mirror. His speech always rained nectar. The rich or poor people were the same to him. He neither knew nor cared for honor or dishonor. He was the Lord of all beings. He spoke freely and mixed with all people, watched the actings and dances of nautch girls, and heard ghazal songs. Still, he swerved not an inch from samadhi, mental equilibrium. The name of Allah was always on his lips. While the world awoke, he slept, and while the world slept, he was vigilant. His inner self was as calm as the deep sea. His ashram could not be determined, nor his actions could be definitely determined, and though he sat, lived in one place, he knew all the transactions of the world. His darbar was imposing. He told hundreds of stories daily. Still, he swerved not an inch from his vow of silence. He always leaned against the wall in the masjid or walked morning, noon, and evening towards Lendi, Nala, and Chavadi. Still, he at times abided in the self. Though a Siddha, he acted like a Sadhaka. He was meek, humble, and egoless, and pleased all. Such was Sai Baba. And as the soil of Shirdi was trodden by Sai Baba's feet, it attained extraordinary importance. As Jnaneshwar elevated Alandi, Eknath did to Python, so Sai Baba raised Shirdi. Blessed are the grass leaves and stones of Shirdi, for they could kiss the holy feet of Sai Baba and take his dust on their head. Shirdi became to us devotees another Pandharpur, Jagannath, Dwarka, Banaras, Kasi, and Rameshwar, Batrikera, Kedar, Nashik, Triambakeshwar, Ujjain, and Mahakaleshwar or Mahabaleshwar, Gokarn. Contact of Sai Baba in Shirdi was like our study of Veda and Tantra. It quietened our sansa, world consciousness, and rendered self-realization. The darshan of Sri Sai was our yoga sadhana, and talked with him removed our sins. Shampooing his legs was our bath in Triveni Prayag, and drinking the holy water of his feet destroyed our sins. To us his commands were Vedas, and accepting eating his udi, sacred ashes, and prasad was also purifying. He was our Sri Krishna and Sri Ram, who gave us solace, and he was our Parabrahma, absolute reality. He was himself beyond the pair of dvandas, opposites, never dejected nor elated. He was always engrossed in his self as existence, knowledge, and bliss. Shirdi was a center, but his field of action extended far beyond to Punjab, Calcutta, North India, Gujarat, Dhaka, now in Bangladesh, and Konkan. Thus the fame of Sai Baba spread far and wide, and people from all parts came to take his darshan and be blessed. By mere darshan, minds of people, whether pure or impure, would become quiet at once. They got here the same unparalleled joy that devotees get at Pandharpur by seeing Vittal Rakumayi. This is not an exaggeration. Consider what a devotee says in this respect. Dictum of Gauli Bua. An old devotee by the name Gauli Bua, aged about 95 years, was a Varkari of Pandari. He stayed for 8 months at Pandharpur and for 4 months Ashada to Kartik, July to November, on the banks of Ganges. He had a donkey with him carrying his luggage, and a disciple as his companion. Every year he made his wari or trip to Pandharpur and came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba, whom he loved most. He used to gaze at Baba, saying, "This is Pandarinath Vittal incarnate, the merciful Lord of the poor and helpless." This Gauli Bua was an old devotee of Vithoba and had made many a trip to Pandahari, and he testified that Sri Sai Baba was the real Pandarinath. Vittal himself appeared. Sai Baba was very fond of remembering and singing God's name. He always uttered Allah Malik, God is Lord, and his presence made others sing God's name continuously, day and night, for all 7 days of the week. This is called Nama Sapta. Once he asked Das Ganu Maharaj to do the Nama Sapta. He replied that he would do it, provided that he was assured that Vittal would appear at the end of the 7th day. Then Baba, placing his hand on his chest, assured him that certainly Vittal would appear, but for that the devotee must be earnest and devout. The Tankapuri Thakur of Dakumat, the Pandare of Vittal, the Dwarka of Ranchot Krishna is here, Shridi. One need not go far out to Sri Dwarka. Will Vittal come here and from some outside place? He is here. Only when the devotee is bursting with love and devotion, Vittal will manifest himself here, Shridi. After the Saptah was over, Vittal did manifest himself in the following manner. Kaka Sahib Diskit was as usual sitting in meditation after his bath. He saw Vittal in a vision. When he went at noon for Baba's darshan, Baba asked him point blank, "Did Vittal Patil come? Did you see him? He is a very truant fellow. Catch him firmly, otherwise he will escape if you are even a little inattentive." This happened in the morning, and at noon there was another Vittal darshan. A hawker came there for selling 25 or 30 pictures of Vithoba. This picture exactly tallied with the figure that had appeared in Kaka Sahib's vision. On seeing this and remembering Baba's words, Kaka Sahib Disit was much surprised and delighted. He bought one picture of Vithoba and placed it in his shrine for worship. Bhagavantaro Sri Sagar story. How fond was Baba for Vittal worship was illustrated in Bhagavantaro's Sri Sagar story. The father of Bhagavantaro was a devotee of Vithoba and used to make varis, annual trips to Pandharpur. He also had an image of Vithoba at home, which he worshipped. After his death, the son stopped everything, the vari, the worship, the shraddha ceremony, etc. When Bhagavantaro came to Sridi, Baba, on remembering his father, at once said, "His father was my friend, so I dragged him, the son, here. He never offered Naivedya, offering of food, and so he starved Vittal and me. So I brought him here. I shall remonstrate him now and set him to worship." Das Ganu's bath in Prayag. The Hindus think that a bath in the holy tirth of Prayag, where the Ganga and Yamuna meet, is meritorious, and thousands of pilgrims go there periodically to have the sacred bath there. Once Das Ganu thought that he should go to Prayag for a bath and came to Baba to get his permission for doing so. Baba replied to him, "It is not necessary to go so far. Our Prayag is here, and believe me." Then, wonder of wonders, when Das Ganu placed his head on Baba's feet, out flowed streams of Ganga Yamuna water from both the toes of Baba. Seeing this miracle, Das Ganu was overwhelmed with feelings of love and adoration, and tears filled my eyes. Inwardly he felt inspired, and his speech burst forth into a song of praise of Baba and his Leelas. Immaculate conception of Sai Baba and his first advent in Sridi. Nobody knew the parents, birth or birthplace of Sai Baba. Many enquiries were made. Many questions were put to Baba and others regarding these, but no satisfactory answer or information had been obtained. Practically, we know nothing about these matters. Namdev and Kabir were not born like ordinary mortals. They were found as infants in mother of perils. Namdev being found on the bank Bhimradi river by Gonai, and Kabir on the bank Bhagirathi river by Tamal. Similar was the case with Sai Baba. He first manifested himself as a young lad of 16 years under a neem tree in Sridi for the sake of bhaktas. Even then he seemed to be full of knowledge of Brahma. He had no desire for worldly objects even in dreams. He kicked out Maya, and Mukti, deliverance, was serving at his feet. One old woman of Sridi, the mother of Nana Chodpar, described him thus: "This young lad, fair, smart, and very handsome, was first seen under the neem tree, seated in an asan. The people of the village were wonderstruck to see such a young boy practicing hard penance, not minding heat and cold. By day he associated with none. By night he was afraid of nobody. People were wondering and asking whence this young chap has turned up. His form and features were so beautiful that a mere look endeared him to all. He went to nobody's door, always sat near the neem tree. Outwardly he looked very young, but by his action he was really a great soul. He was the embodiment of dispassion, and was an enigma to all. One day it so happened that God Kandoba possessed the body of some devotee, and people began to ask him, Deva, God, you please inquire what blessed father's son is this lad, and whence did he come? God Kandoba asked them to bring a pickaxe and dig in a particular place. Where it was dug, bricks were found underneath a flat stone. When the stones was removed, a corridor was seen in which 4 samyasis lights were burning. The corridor led to a cellar where cow-mouth-shaped structures, wooden boats, rosaries were seen. Kandoba said, This lad practiced penance here for 12 years. Then the people began to question the lad about this. He put them off by telling them that this was his guru's place, his holy watan, and requested them to guard this well. The people then closed the corridor as before. As Aswatha and Odumba trees are held sacred, Baba regarded the neem tree equally sacred and loved it most. Mahasapati and other Shirdi devotees regard this site as the resting place, Samadhi Sthan, of Baba's Guru and prostrate before it. 3 Vadas. The site with the neem tree and the surrounding space was bought by Mr. Hari Vinaya Sate, and on the site a big building styled Sate's Vada was erected. This Vada was the sole resting place for pilgrims who folk there. A platform was built round the neem tree and lofts with steps were constructed. Under the steps there is a niche facing south, and devotees sit on the platform facing north. It is believed that he who burns incense there on Thursday and Friday evenings will by God's grace be happy. This Vada was old and dilapidated and needed repairs. The necessary repairs, additions and alterations have been made now by the Sansthan. Then after some years another Vada, Dixit Vada, was constructed. Kaka Sahib Dixit, solicitor of Mumbai, had gone to England. He had injured his leg in an accident there. The injury could not be got rid by any means. Nana Sahib Chandrokar advised him to see Sai Baba. So he went to Sai Baba in 1909, then requested him to cure the lameness of his mind rather than that of his leg. He was so much pleased with the darshan of Sai Baba, and he had decided to reside in Shirdi. So he built a Vada for himself and other devotees. The foundation of this building was laid on 10/12/1910. On this day, 2 other important events took place. 1. Mr. Dada Saheb Kapade was given permission to return home, and 2. The night Arati at the Chavadi was started. The Vada was completed and was inhabited on the Ram Navami day in 1911 with due rites and formalities. 3. Then another Vada or palatial mansion was put up by the famous millionaire, Mr. Bhuti of Nagpur. A lot of money was spent on the building, but it was well utilized, as Sai Baba's body is resting in this Vada, which is now called the Samadhi Mandir. The site of this Mandir formerly has a garden, which was watered and looked after by Baba. 3 Vadas thus came up, where there was none formerly. On this, Sati's Vada was most useful to all in the early days. The story of the garden, which was attended by Sai Baba with the help of Vaman Tatya, the temporary absence of Sai Baba from Shirdi and his coming again to Shirdi with the marriage party of Chand Patel, the company of Devi Das, Janki Das, Gangagir, Baba's wrestling match with Mohidin Tamboi, residing in the masjid, love of Mr. Dengal and other devotees and other incidents will be described in the next chapter. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you friends. Bye bye friends.